Master Chief, Halo Infinite has shaders.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. So if you're part of the Halo community and you've been living under a rock, yesterday 343 released a community update where they broke down tons of stuff, including the Halo 4 PC flighting, all bunch of goodness. But this section right here is what's got people up in arms. Similar to the recent community update that revealed the Monarch armor coating for Halo Infinite, this section here, this of Halo Infinite news in the community update, reveals the Red Shift armor coating, which has clearly seen battle and looks absolutely phenomenal. It can be secured by purchasing any Halo or Xbox merchandise at GameStop from November 9th through December 13th. Well, cool. This looks kind of badass. As you can see, this is kind of more worn and different color. If you're more of a red guy, this is definitely going to be more up your alley. This is more worn and gritty than the Monarch coating, I would say. And that visor, I like it. But it's the subsequent section breaking down what the coating system is that's causing people problems. When the Monarch coating was revealed, it wasn't clear. I think we were all hoping that it was something in addition to the color customization options we've come to expect in Halo games. When I first saw Monarch coating, I was thinking like, oh cool, you can change the color of your dick, you can change the color of your nipples, and some stuff can just be a little more smooth. But unfortunately, looks like that's not all that coatings are. So Onishek breaks down what coating really is. He says, from the beginning, player expression has been a key pillar of Halo Infinite, and to achieve these goals, the team has developed a new system which is a powerful and flexible way to create customization content quicker and more robustly than we've been able to in the past. According to lead player investment designer Christopher Blum, a coating is a
7-layer shader
that allows us to put any artist-authored color, material, or pattern into 7 channels and apply it to in-game items like weapons, armor, and vehicles. Yes, that's right, including vehicles. Here's an example, and they show off the Azure vehicle coating. Which continues, coloration along with materials and patterns will now be baked into the coating, taking the place of the primary, secondary armor color options found in prior games. While we understand that many players are fond of the previous color system, we're very excited about the breadth and scope of armor, weapon, and vehicle customization options that will be available in Halo Infinite because of the coating system. Additionally, players should expect more robust per-piece armor customization choices akin to what was available in Halo Reach versus what was offered in Halo 5 Guardians. Or in Halo 5 Guardians, just we talked about it, yes, I didn't like that. And as we expand our customization capabilities with armor geometry, materials, colors, and
textures,
it's important to the team that the players are given more opportunities to express themselves within the game itself.
More on that later.
They also address like the shininess of the Monarch coating. They say when we shared the Monarch armor render in our last update, we also saw some feedback around it looking like plastic or being too clean. I called that out a little earlier. While we are very excited about the return to more classic Halo art style, we do want to acknowledge that the nature of these work-in-progress renders is such that they aren't completely representing the base material as shown in game with
real lighting.
Additionally, as you can see with the red shift above, the overall look will also depend on the design style of each specific armor coating. Lot to wrap your head around, particularly without being able to see it in practice. They talk about how it sucks that we're learning about this, like all of the new customization things through basically marketing partnerships that they had established that we're supposed to be hitting right now as the game was releases with fucking cookies and fucking energy drinks. But alas, here we are. So, I've got mixed feelings about this coding system. First of all, I would say so far the community's reception of this has been much more negative than positive. Again, it's just another thing that is replacing something that we've grown accustomed to with the color options. I mean, they've literally been in every Halo game, and now it feels like you're taking something away so that you can feed it back to me in another kind of way. And like, Halo, here's the reality. Halo is a free-to-play game in 2020. And there's a reality to that, and there are implications to that, unfortunately, that are part of my mixed feelings on this thing. So on the positive front, it looks like this setup is going to be able to pump out, like the way they describe the system, the 7-layer shader that touches materials, colors, textures, and et cetera, even geometry. That sounds like procedurally generated cosmetics to me, which I think is a fantastic way to generate a lot of content. Like if you can take artist authored colors, materials, or patterns, push them into 7 channels, and essentially have your artist review what the algorithm is spitting out. Yeah, I think that frees up your artist time to be able to work on other cool shit, like they've made mention of weapon charms. If I've got Sparth cooking up some sick ass new armor, I would take that over him having to worry about colors, if you know what I'm saying. If you can algorithmically define shit that looks good, that's great. That's definitely going to feed into their ability to create customization content quicker and more robustly. Halo 5 had 60 color options that you could choose from for the primary and secondary weapon armor colors. So even if that was just your palette of available colors for Infinite, just the combination of one color with all the possible secondary colors that's thousands of different options just in colors alone. So if you add on the ability to throw in different combinations with materials and patterns, and as you can see with the Redshift and Monarch armor, clearly there's the ability to customize the breastplate, and then there's like a secondary breastplate chunk there on the Monarch, but like on the Redshift, you've got the shoulder with a little like secondary shoulder color. You got forearms, you've got legs, and it looks like there's 2 tones to the legs. And I remain, you can still, looks like Redshift is proving you can change the dick color. So yeah, I think this system is probably going to be able to generate thousands upon thousands of variations on coatings and all this stuff. Now you do still, I think artists are going to have to review the stuff that's getting put out to some extent. Some of that's going to be so close to repeat. You don't want to have the Halo 5 like, this is my armor and this is another armor, but it's got a white stripe thing going. I think you want them to be compelling enough. Like Redshift looks significantly different than Monarch, and like if you had Redshift but maybe with like not gritty, like cleaned up material on it, and the top breastplate was primarily black, I think that already would look significantly different from this. And look, realistically, the fact that color is now ingrained in these coatings means that there is yet another, if you will, access of reward incentives available in the game. That's important because Halo is a free-to-play title in 2020, as we said before. The reward systems of the game need to be implemented in a way that drive player engagement, that incentivize them to stay around. Being free to play, it's so easy for people just to drop it and move on. There needs to be incentives there for them to continue playing and pursuing these kinds of extrinsic rewards. These color schemes, these different like shader, whatever, blah, 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 is a great way of doing that for lots of people. When a person's considering, do I spend some time in Apex, or do I jump into Halo, or do I spend some time in whatever the heck, a lot of times the decision to choose one or the other could be like, oh yeah, well, I still need to get that armor, or I'm still going after some goal, I'm still going after that achievement. And I'll get into negatives or here in a sec, but anyway, that is definitely, I think, a positive of this system, generating a lot of interesting and compelling customization options to drive player, engagement is a good thing now that Halo's going free to play. And I'll also say there's a few things we don't completely understand. Like, additionally, players should expect more robust per-piece armor customization choices akin to what was available in Halo Reach versus what was offered in Halo 5 Guardians. I take that to mean they're talking about the like actual armor pieces, like you got your shoulder pieces, you got your forearm pieces, you got your biceps pieces. But I guess it could technically mean that you could use these coatings on like maybe just a range of armor pieces. Like, could I have the Monarch chest, shoulder, and forearms, but use the Redshift legs? I don't know. Also, here's a big one that we don't know that could easily just be like my biggest negative on this system. Is this going to be like Destiny 2 shaders where you are like, when you unlock the shaders, you get like a set of a few that are expendable per, like you can equip one to your vehicle, you can equip one to your Spartan's armor. Like you only get 2 and you can only apply them twice, and then you got to go back out and farm more instances of the coating to use it again. Like, for example, if you wanted to use it on your weapon skin, let's say, like, could you have a Monarch weapon skin? And importantly, do you need to farm copies of the coding to use across your armor, your weapons, your vehicles, etc. Because that fucking sucks. That was shit from Destiny 2. Did not like that. If you had something like in Monarch where if you unlock the Monarch coding, you can just use it across the vehicles, across armor, across weapons. All right, I'm okay with that. But yeah, being single use like it was in Destiny 2, no, don't do it. Now here are my negatives on this, okay? This is definitely not what I would say the ideal implementation of this cosmetic system would be for a lot of people. I think people are voicing that. I think the ideal solution would have been like, if you look at the Monarch coding and the Redshift and all of the available like coloration options, like the inner leg, the outer leg, the forearms, there seems to be like 2 tones to the shoulders, considering that the Monarch's got like all purple and Redshift has 2 tones there. The breastplate, which like has the nipples and the sternum, is one color on Monarch and then another thing on breastplate. Like, if those were all individual sections of the armor that you could colorize, and you had a color wheel, fuck, that would be cool. And I would argue you could have like the color wheels be like a base of things, and then like the grit or the clean shininess, or like what I was imagining, like some of the armor effects like you had in Reach would be these things that you could add on top of it. Sorry for the punch. But as I mentioned before, having colors part of this as part of the system means that you have like thousands of, automatically just off color alone, you have thousands of variations of these armors, of these vehicle skins. So yeah, I think unfortunately the reality is adding colors generated. I think unfortunately that was probably the logic there. If we incorporate colors into coding, we get thousands of variants. If we remove colors from codings and just use materials, textures, and armor effects, it puts a lot more pressure on artists to be pumping out content. And there's just no way. There's no way the artist could be pumping out that much, enough stuff to be comparable to what you can generate now with the color-based armor coding, blah, 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 blah. Now, here's an idea. Like, what if you had a base set of colors that everyone had to set to their different armor coloration options, right? Like, even if they were just a core set of, I don't know, 15 colors that you could use as your primary, like not a color wheel, just a set of colors that you could use for primary, secondary armor colorations. But then in addition to that, you had this coding system, right? As I imagine, you had like blue, you have red, you have pink that you can use for your primary and your secondary colors, for your inner leg,
for your nipple colors.
But if you want that teal, the only way you can beat it is if you do the Palace of Pain raid on heroic and beat it under 20 minutes and you get it as a drop.
My friend.
I don't know. I think some people would be more okay with it if it was something like that. But that leads me into my next thought. Please do not just let this be unlockable through just random RNG rolls. Please. I mean, some of them can. Like, if you think of like the Halo 5 armor set, if you would have told me that rare stuff or lower, so like rare, uncommon, or common stuff was all RNG based unlocks, like fine. But like the ultra rare and legendary and mythic shit, please make that achievable, right? You have to accomplish something to get these armor sets. One like implementation of this is like what you see with the Destiny 2, where you have like the merchants or sellers or whatever, and they have like a set of shaders available for that you can get from them when you go turn in your currency, whatever the heck Destiny has. Like, that's okay to a certain extent, but the really cool shit, please make that achievable. Like, even if it's just experience-based stuff, doesn't even necessarily have to be crazy, but at least something you achieve that's not just locked behind RNG drops.
Please.
I'm not holding my breath on that one, though. I'm gonna be honest. So I'll be honest, my first impression of this system was a negative one. It's like, I think there's just something about having your freedom to customize yourself taken away, right? That is just shitty. Customizing yourself and what you look like is one of the things you have most agency on over the world you participate in, right? In the game. It's the primary way that you can communicate yourself, who you are, what you like, your status in this space,
your uniqueness.
But when those options are taken from you and you really just have a choice from a predefined, what feels like cookie cutter set of options, it's not as personal of a of a connection, in my opinion. You see a lot of people on Twitter like, now I can't do that color combination that I've done since Halo 2 where I'm just brown. That's me, bro. I'm shit all the way through. And now you're taking that from me. My least favorite number company is taking that from me. Yeah, it's now that's being taken from you, and you can only be like, if what it feels like is like you can't be you can just be what we offer you. You know what I mean? But I will say, all I ever do in the Halo games is I just try to make myself completely black on armor, like the primary and secondary. There's close to black, like Rachel, and he's got some fucking steel. Come on, man. So I'll admit, I'm gonna have more pizzazz thanks to a system like this. You're gonna like the way you look. 343 guarantees it. So yeah. Anyway, divided, undecided. What do you think? What do you think about this new system? Are you in favor for it? Do you not really give a shit? Are you like me? You just prefer to have somebody get you dressed than have to worry about it yourself? Maybe that's what happened. 343 is like, yeah, you know, our target demographic for this game is a bunch of like teenage and middle-aged dudes. They don't give a fuck about what they wear. They would just prefer to have somebody dress them for themselves. I'm just kidding. Just a joke. But seriously, I wouldn't mind if somebody just told me what to wear all the time. Tell us what you think. Tell us if you're excited. Tell us if you'd like, what ideas do you have of improving this system in the comments down below. And who knows, maybe 343 will answer some of our questions. What do you think, Master Chief?
That's not going to happen.